If you're a man over 40, there's one style of training that's going to put more muscle on your frame than any other. A style where you can train hard without spending hours in the gym, stimulate muscles without wrecking your joints, and get enough high quality volume across the week without accumulating too much fatigue. I call it high effort, high frequency training, and it's not a fad. It's a science-based approach you can implement while still following most known workout splits. The idea is simple: train heavy and train often. But before we break down why this works and how to structure it for best results, let's cover the one thing that makes any plan effective: consistency. And while discipline helps, it's not the strongest predictor of long-term consistency. The strongest predictor of whether or not you stick to a plan, believe it or not, is enjoyment. If you hate your workouts, your training will suffer. If you enjoy them, your training will be better and more productive. In fact, according to this study, enjoyment was the single strongest predictor of consistent attendance, beating out even self-discipline and social support. And as we get older, consistency becomes even more important. Now, enjoying your training lays the foundation, but to build muscle efficiently, you need to combine that enjoyment with training strategies proven to deliver the best results. And here's the good news: the objective factors we're about to cover aren't just optimal for muscle growth, they also support enjoyment and, by extension, training consistency. They free up more time for family and other priorities, maximize your results, help you avoid feeling drained at the end of your training sessions, and ensure you're actually progressing. So now that we've covered why enjoying the process is a must, let's get into the training style that is going to get you jacked after 40. First, you have to train heavy with high effort. When you train with lighter loads, say 12 or more reps, you have to lift to failure to create enough muscle fiber recruitment to maximize that hypertrophy stimulus. That's because lighter loads rely on fatigue mechanisms to tap into the high threshold motor units responsible for muscle growth. And while lighter weights can build muscle, they create more fatigue and more muscle damage that ultimately delay recovery and limit how often you can train. In fact, this 2017 study found that lifting lighter loads created a bigger strength deficit than training with heavy loads. Even 48 hours later, lifters who trained with light loads still hadn't recovered as well as those who trained heavy. Also, anecdotally, I think high rep sets often fail to produce optimal growth because the discomfort and burn make people stop before they reach an optimal proximity to failure, meaning the set feels hard but doesn't create maximum growth stimulus. Heavier loads, on the other hand, recruit high threshold motor units from the very beginning of the set, meaning we can achieve more muscle growth by pushing sets 1 or 2 reps short of failure. So we get more growth with less fatigue, less muscle damage, and ultimately we recover faster between sessions. And contrary to what we once believed, more muscle damage doesn't result in more muscle growth. This is because muscle damage shifts your body into repair mode, not growth mode. Basically, muscle protein synthesis is used to fix damaged tissue first before shifting to building new muscle. In other words, hypertrophy can only begin after damage is repaired, and if recovery resources are spent just patching you back up, there's less left over for actual growth. With that in mind, the majority of your training, especially as it relates to big compound movements, should be performed for 6 to 8 reps, with each set ending around 1 or 2 reps shy of failure. The other thing we want to focus on is a high training frequency. It's established in the research that us older guys see better size gains from higher training volumes. Now, this doesn't mean we should blast any and every muscle group with 10 to 15 sets in a single training session. Research shows that while the initial few sets in a training session provide the biggest hypertrophy return, each additional set gives you less and less. In fact, in order to double the muscle growth produced by 3 sets, it would require not 6 sets, not 9 sets, but 18 sets. That's 6 times more volume to produce the same amount of growth. Not only that, but high volume sessions also create significantly more muscle damage. So rather than hammering your chest with 12 sets on Monday and hoping for the best, split that volume across multiple days. You could hit 6 sets 2 times a week or 4 sets 3 times a week. You'll feel fresher, move better, and actually give your body a chance to grow, not just recover from the beating. Essentially, high frequency frequency training gives you a better way to organize and spread your weekly training volume, allowing you to hit every session at peak performance, as well as allowing you to recover optimally from each training session. In their meta-analysis, Schoenfeld and colleagues found that training muscle groups at least twice per week promotes superior hypertrophic outcomes compared to training them just once a week. Corroborating this, a more recent study compared once-a-week lifting to a higher frequency protocol. Lifters were split into two groups. Some did 9 sets once per week, and the others did 3 sets 3 times a week. When all sets were taken to failure, the high-frequency group saw nearly double the hypertrophy response. Training a muscle once a week with all your sets crammed into one session is like trying to eat your daily calories in one massive meal. You're stuffed, uncomfortable, and your body struggles to properly digest it all. High-frequency training, on the other hand, is like eating smaller, balanced meals throughout the day. You're consistently fueled, your body processes the nutrients efficiently, and you feel energized rather than wiped out. Not only that, but one meta-analysis found that higher training frequencies significantly improved strength gains. And a 2024 study showed that spreading 16 to 20 sets of lower body work across several sessions led to greater increases in 1 rep max strength than cramming it into one weekly session. And because progressive overload is one of the main pathways by which we build muscle, getting stronger equals more muscle growth. And finally, shorter sessions mean your training actually fits into your life. More importantly, lifting stops feeling like a chore, especially since you're not wiped out physically. Again, heavy training works because it minimizes fatigue and damage and gives you a better return on effort. A high-frequency approach keeps the muscle building signal active, spreads out your volume so you can train harder, and boosts technical efficiency. Put these together and you get the most efficient, sustainable setup for muscle growth, especially for men over 40. This is why many lifters are moving away from the outdated bro splits and shifting towards smarter training structures that support higher frequency, heavier loads, and faster recovery. Full body training isn't just for beginners anymore, and upper-lower splits aren't just a stepping stone to bodybuilding style routines. They've become the go-to for lifters who want more efficient sessions, more high-quality volume, and more consistent progress. Why? Because the research is clear. Training more often with less fatigue per session is the most effective way to build muscle, period. And if you're looking for a training routine that allows you to train heavy and train often, check out our video on the worst training splits for men over 40. There, you'll not only find the 3 worst workout splits for men our age, including the one you're probably doing right now, but I'll share a few workout split examples that will give you the best bang for your buck in the gym, even if you can only train 3 or 4 days per week. Did you find this video helpful? Click the like button below, and I'll see you in the next video.